Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville, Kentucky for the UPIKE Football Coaches Show. I'm Rick Bentley. He is Coach Corey Phipps. He's the coach of this show. So let's turn to him, Coach. Last week we talked about the bye week and what that entails. A little more comfortable this week going into knowing that you got to prepare for the biggest game of the season, really.
Yeah, bye week came at a perfect time right before conference play, and probably one of the bigger opponents in the conference. You know, Reinhardt, who's defending conference champ, and I don't know if they've ever lost a conference game. So, you know, I think it's pretty amazing to have that right at that moment, to get some guys back healthy, to maybe tweak a little things, to regroup a little bit as you go into conference play was awesome.
So when you talk about players getting healthy, can you name some of those guys? I know there are certain things we can say and certain things we can't, but I think...
Yeah, I think, Tyrese Christian was a little banged up. Mon Williams was a little banged up. So both those guys back in the backfield. You know, a couple of our offensive linemen that were dinged up, a couple of D linemen, Shiloh Sayao and those guys getting back. So, I think we'll have a lot of bodies, but talking to James Miller, the head coach down there, he says he's going to get a few back too. We might have poor-mouthed each other a little bit as coaches this week as we talked and visited.
Well, you actually saw him Saturday, right?
Yeah, that's right. There's no Connor Stallions, Michigan sign stealing in the NAI. We actually can in-person scout, so I had the opportunity to go over and watch Georgetown College play Reinhardt there, and it was a really good game. And I stood out there. The only umbrella I could find was a Keeneland umbrella, so I stood out there with a big green umbrella and watched the ball game.
You were dry. That's all that matters.
Amen.
So I was at soccer at the same time they were playing, but I did keep an eye on that game.
Yeah.
And it kind of got away from them a little bit, and then by the end, boy, they were.
Yeah. I told James in my text to him at the end of the game, I said, hey, man, kids fought hard. I really enjoyed watching you coach. I know you probably don't want to see me right now, so I'll see you next Saturday, and darted out there. But, if you look at it, they, Georgetown jumped up 21-0, and, Reinhardt fought back to get it to 31-31, lost by a last-second field goal. So, I think it just shows the resolve and the grit that the Eagles of Reinhardt University have.
If that tells you, nothing else tells you what kind of game we should expect on Saturday, Georgetown beat both of us on field goals at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of – I know the records aren't what either of us want them to be at this point, but these are two pretty good football teams.
It's pretty amazing the parity in college football at all levels right now. I think the transfer portal, I think some of these extra seasons of COVID eligibility and some of the things that have happened in the last few years of college football have really changed the dynamic in the landscape. So I also think that, it just – we have a different situation in Division I. Last year in, Florida State, undefeated, gets left out of playoffs. But at our level, you have automatic bids. So for us, I think there's 12 automatic bids in the NAI out of 20 slots that go to the playoffs. And, so we're starting off a journey to try to acquire one of those automatic bids over the next 6 weeks.
Coach, to move a little away from football just for a minute, the biggest story in sports this week has been Pete Rose passing away. And I know I'm a little bit older than you. What do you remember about Pete?
Man, I'm 45, so, I just remember,
Not according to your Wikipedia page, by the way.
Yeah, it says I'm 42, doesn't it? Yeah, keep it that way, please. Somebody told me that. I said, well, I like that because I'm younger than a lot of people I care about. So I can tell you that the legend of Pete and, what he did for the game, and then obviously the – kind of the things that people draw to in terms of keeping him out of the Hall of Fame. But, I do know in this region of the world, he's a big deal.
He really was.
I think it's tremendous that you've seen some of the people talk about some of the things that you just didn't know about him, how kind he was and how giving he was of his time and his resources, even in an era where those guys didn't make the big-time dollars.
He probably made more money signing autographs than he did playing most years he was in Major League Baseball. I got to meet him one time. I've got my baseball here autographed on the table from Pete, and it was really interesting because Billy Watson, who's from Walton, 10 miles away from Cincinnati, and Billy sat down and talked to him, told him he was from Walton and that sort of thing. So when Billy got up, I sat down. He said, "Are you from Walton too?" Because he knew we were together. We were the only ones in there to get his autograph. It's crazy. And he said, and I said, "No, Pete." And he had that baseball in his hand, and he like this. And I said, "No, Pete, I'm from Pikeville." And he stopped dead in his tracks, looked at me, and said, "You can go a lot of places and get people's autographs, but how many of them are going to talk to you about Phelps, Kentucky?" And he talked to me for 15 minutes about Phelps, Kentucky, and a night he was over there, and he said, I saw more Rolls Royces that night in Phelps, Kentucky than I have ever seen in one place, and I've been on their dealerships before. I've never seen anything like it. He went on and on about
I would
Phelps.
like to know why Pete Rose was in Phelps, Kentucky.
Here's the story. There was at that point in time, there was a tremendous amount of coal money in Phelps. And a couple of those guys over there got to know Pete, and they would fly up and get him and fly him down. In fact, I read a story this week that the McCoy Athletic Center, the high school gym at Phelps, the night it was opened, they played one of the other local high schools here, Johns Creek, whoever it was. Pete Rose was there watching the game.
That's wild.
And
that's wild.
He just, Pete would go anywhere for money. That's the dirt. Everybody knows that about Pete.
So here's the jam. If I'm ever on one of those, shows that I need a lifeline, can I put your number down as,
if it's about
friend
sports,
ask? Yeah, absolutely.
You'd be okay with that. But
Absolutely.
if it's about anything else, you're going to be out of luck calling me. I'll tell you right now. But yeah, Pete was just a fascinating figure. I was 8 and 9 when the Big Red Machine won the World Series in 75 and 76. So he was an idol for me. And then as I got older, it's funny, when I got a little bit older as a teenager, my idol in baseball was Dale Murphy. They could not be any different people than in the world than those two. And hear about this. The day before Pete died, they were at the same autograph signing in Franklin, Tennessee. There was 5 members of that Big Red Machine there. They all got to see Pete one last time. And it's like the guy, Pete's agent posted, he said, we got one more round of batting practice with those guys together. And there they were. And then the next day, somebody went to his house and found him, unfortunately dead, 83 years old, and lived a good life. But I wanted to get in a little bit about Pete. I'll write about him in my column tomorrow because, growing up here, like you said, he's – and listen, a long time ago I stopped saying he should be in the Hall of Fame because when you lie for 14 years and make a lot of us liars, that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame. It's not because he gambled on baseball. They could have got over that. But – boy, it's hard to find
in baseball,
player.
I'm a football guy, but in baseball, it's always interesting who the regional heroes are. When I was in Arkansas with the St. Louis Cardinals, it was Stan Musial. So it's just you hear guys of your generation talk about some of these cats. When baseball, I don't want to say it was a bigger deal, but it was a cultural thing. When you didn't have ESPN and you were listening to it on the radio and you're trying to figure out if the games were won. So good for you. I'm glad you got to relive a few memories.
Stan Musial, interesting story about him. 3,600 and whatever hits. He had the exact same number of hits at home and on the road in his career.
Now that's wild.
Just another one of those phenomenal baseball players from an era that's long gone from us. And now there's so much money in it, it's kind of hard to feel that about players. And I'm sure you feel that way about a lot of the football guys growing up out in the San Francisco area. Speaking of that, Karan Thrower is going to be on the show with us today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fairfield, California.
Yeah.
That's your neck of the woods right there.
It is. That's just over the bridge from the county I grew up in. He actually played at Contra Costa Community College, and I grew up just a few blocks from there. For you guys that remember the movie Coach Carter with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Richmond High School is just down the road from Contra Costa College, and we've got a few guys from there, and Javi's from there, and a couple cats, Joe Alvarez, and so it's been a good program to us and a good pipeline. And those guys, Karan's going to graduate here in December and a semester early and go on and do big things with his life.
And then the other guy we're going to talk to today is from a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Louisville, Kentucky, Micah Lee, starting right tackle.
Yeah, Micah Lee, he's an interesting cat too. You can't generally get him to talk, so I want to see how you pull this out of him. But Micah was an all-conference right tackle for us last year and really grown into a leadership role for us. And Louisville native, but mom and dad just moved back to Jamaica, so I guess he's going to have a few warm Christmas days going and visiting mom and dad on the island.
That's not the worst place to spend Christmas,
No.
I would say, especially when the option's Louisville. It's going to be a little bit colder in Jefferson County than it will be down there. Usually I have statistics and things like that to talk about. He's a lineman. Mm-hmm. We don't have many statistics with him, but
we're big and ugly. That's what we are.
That's right. The big uglies. That's what we always called those offensive linemen. And I'm looking forward to getting to talk to both of those kids. Saturday, we'll talk about it more in our final segment with you. But Hall of Fame and a special deal for us on Saturday because we're going to try to raise some money to help some people who got hammered last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Many of us grew up there watching this, or parents of our players. Remember Katrina? I can remember I was a high school coach in Dallas, Texas, and watching all the people that were displaced that came to that region. And for years and years and years, we recruited kids. And how did you end up here? How did you end up in Atlanta from New Orleans? Well, Katrina, we were displaced, and I think you're going to see the same thing. I've got family that's all the way from Tampa, Florida to the Carolinas. They're still without electricity, that are pulling sheetrock out of the house and just trying to make things work. And, I don't know if there's a more devastating situation. And we have a sister school who does not play football, but Montreat College, and, they were absolutely decimated there in the Asheville, North Carolina area. And we got a bunch of folks in East Tennessee. We're reaching out to some contacts right now to find some opportunities, because it's going to take months and months and months to clean up. When can our student athletes get down to at least East Tennessee, that Greenville area, and have an opportunity to clean up, pick up, and help out? And then, we're going to take all of our gate from all of our home sporting events this week and donate it to a good cause, reputable hurricane relief cause. So we feel for those people, and we know that we have our own flooding issues here in this region, and we've cleaned up from those. And quite honestly, we're really, really lucky that just didn't spin a few miles differently, and it could have really affected this region.
And the other thing is, Coach, that we just needed that help a couple of years ago, and a lot of these people who we're going to help and they need help now, they were the ones who came and helped us.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it, and it's unfortunate. Our hearts go out. We pray for those folks, and we're prayerful that they'll be able to clean up and pick up here pretty quickly. But there were a lot of lives lost that will never be replaced.
And that's the saddest part about it. Now, let's be honest about something here. We haven't forgotten those people in Florida and those people in those areas down there. The difference in this, for me, is that this hurricane was so strong that it didn't slow down when it hit land, and it extended to areas. It's like I tell people about, I've got family in Michigan, and when it snows in Michigan, they just keep going because they're used to that. It happens all the time. My dad used to talk about when he lived up there that it would snow in October, and that same snow would still be on the ground in May. But here we're not as used to dealing with that, and it's the same way in Florida. They understand what a hurricane does and what it's like. In East Tennessee and in southwest, in southern or western North Carolina, they're not used to that.
No,
so
absolutely.
It's a big adjustment for them, and boy, I'll tell you what, when you find out that if you know geography a little bit and you know where Asheville, North Carolina is, and Montreat has students staying on campus in Jefferson City at Carson Newman right now, it's insane. How far they've had to move out to find places for these people to stay.
It is, and Jose Larios, the VP of enrollment there, who was the former track coach and athletic director, tremendous human being. We've chatted a little bit. Our conference commissioner Bill Popp, we've chatted a little bit in terms of how they're going to get back online. We know they've shut down operations for a few days, but I told the guys, it's one of those jams that you wake up and you're thinking about football, and then you look at your social media feed, you look at the news, and all of a sudden you're like, the world is spinning out there, and we're worried about a game. And we want to be worried about that game on Saturday, but at the same time, we want to be prayerful for those folks who need help in tough situations.
All right, we're going to step away after this, and we will talk to Corey again about this later on in our final segment with him. We're going to talk to Micah Lee and Karan Thrower, and we'll be back after this on the UPIKE Football Coaches Show. Welcome back to the UPIKE Football Coaches Show. I'm Rick Bentley, and he is Micah Lee. We're going to talk a little bit to Michael here, a 6'4", 270-pound junior. You don't weigh 270 pounds. There's no way.
Yeah, I weigh 280, actually.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Starting right tackle from Louisville, Kentucky, Fern Creek High School. Now, I was looking online because I try to know a little bit about what I'm talking about when I talk to you guys. 12 miles from downtown Louisville.
Yes, sir.
So it was a suburb that they kind of adopted into the city of Louisville, right?
Yes. It's its own little neighborhood.
Yeah. So tell me about Fern Creek. What's it like to grow up there?
Actually, I grew up in Louisville, Oklahoma area, but I went to high school in Fern Creek. Yes. It's pretty good. It's very quiet. The football is good.
Yeah, they tend to have a pretty good football program there in Fern Creek. I mean, you know, when you think about Louisville football, you think about St. X, Trinity, and Male, but there's other good football programs in Louisville.
Yes, there is.
And what we found out here is how good Central High School football is because them and Belfry have met in so many state championship games. And then the relationship between those coaches there, Philip Haywood, they liked him so much that last year when they were going to name the stadium after the former coach who had passed away, they brought Belfry down to play in that game.
Oh, wow.
And Haywood took his team down to play in that. So we're a little bit familiar with what goes on in Louisville. And, of course, I like to say that Louisville's the biggest city in Indiana.
Yeah.
It's a completely different place from Kentucky, right?
That's what a lot of people would say.
Yeah. First team all conference last year. Were you surprised when you got that honor?
Yes, I actually was. I put in the work in the off season, came back a little bit underweight, but got it right back during the season, right before the season started, and I just put in all that work over the summer that I did.
It certainly paid off for you. It's always interesting to talk to you guys because, you know, when you talk to, when I talk to Lee, like I got all these numbers in front of me and all this stuff. When I talk to Diego Soto and DeAndre, there are not many stats for linemen.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked you if you were surprised by that, because you couldn't look at it and say, well, I had, you know, I had so many more pancake blocks than anybody else had, because nobody knows what those numbers are. You do probably. You can tell me how many you've had this year, but most people don't know those sorts of things.
Yeah, that's true.
As a lineman, to be named first team all conference, what that tells me is that for those people who really know what they're looking for, you stood out. When they watched film, they saw that's a guy we got to deal with right there.
Yes, sir.
And it's nice to be considered a problem for everybody else.
Yes, it is.
And like you said, maybe not a lot of playing time the year before.
But
coming back and being first team all conference.
Yes, sir.
That's got to be a great feeling right there.
Yes, sir.
Now, because I said we don't have a lot of numbers for quarterbacks, for linemen, I do have this. You're part of an offensive line that's allowed one sack in 4 games.
Yes, sir.
That's remarkable.
Yeah. We that's not something that you want as an O lineman. You take pride in protecting the quarterback, but that one sack, really not what you want.
And when was that sack? Because
it was the Faulkner game in the fourth quarter.
Okay. I watched that game, and I guess I missed that play. I will say this. When you've got a quarterback who's 6'6" and 260 pounds, and Corey likes to say he weighs a lot more than that, but I don't believe that now. Lee's got himself in really good shape. I don't know if a lot of people want to hit Lee, like especially if you're maybe a linebacker coming through there. You may not be nearly as big as him. But still, I mean, that's the goal for them, and you guys have done such a great job in protecting you.
Yes, sir.
And another thing is, I mean, you know, look, we talk about a lot about Lee, talking about him every week here. The numbers he puts up are remarkable. We don't want to lose him.
Yes,
and one of the key ways to keep, like, here's the other thing about it. One sack, but Lee hasn't been hit very many times.
Yeah, that's good, yes.
And that's you guys doing that.
Yeah, we all try to work together as a unit and protect Lee and have him be able to throw that many yards per game.
Yeah, I've got it on here, 334 passing yards a game, which again tells you that's what you guys are a big part of that. And when I talk to Lee, he deflects all of that onto you guys and his receiving core and that sort of thing.
That's his personality, yeah.
That's really what he does. How much pride do you take in the blocking like that?
You got to take all the pride in the world protecting a quarterback, because if that quarterback goes down, that's on you, and you failed at your job if you didn't protect the quarterback.
And again, you know, in 4 games this year, he probably hasn't been hit more than 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, before he throws, after he throws, that sort of thing. because they're not getting through you guys.
Yes, sir.
And it's not just you. I mean, you've got 4 other linemen out
Yes,
there
sir.
with you and some tight ends and that sort of thing. And then our backs do a good job blocking also.
Yes.
So there's a lot of help. But your first team all-conference, man, I'm going to give you the credit. You're the one I'm sitting here
Yes, sir.
talking to.
Appreciate it.
So tell me about what it's been like to block for a quarterback who throws as much as we do. That's our scheme. Because even last year, when we had Jamarion, that's what I called him, Jamarion Sanders, Alex Sanders,
Yes.
who was a talented running back,
Yes.
one of the top running backs we've ever had here. But our running game turned into those short passes that we just throw for 3 or 4 yards and see how much farther they can get. And you guys have to take a lot of pride in that, because you've got to protect Lee every
Yeah.
single play, and obviously you're doing a great job.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We take a lot of pride in that. We have to, because just like I said before, if we don't take pride in that, then our job is like we're not doing our job. We got to do our job at the end of the day.
And that means you've got to listen to Coach Phipps.
Yes.
And I know that's not what you want to do. You want to hear him tell everybody how great you are,
Yeah.
and not have him getting on you. So tell me, Coach was telling me that your parents
Yes.
just moved to Jamaica.
Yes, yes.
That
yes.
is not in Jefferson County. I
Yeah,
looked it up.
No.
And-
My mom actually moved back to Jamaica. Both of my parents are from Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica, to be exact. And after so many years, my mom decided to move back to Jamaica to rekindle her relationship with my dad. So,
Great.
yeah.
So tell me, have you been to Jamaica yourself?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
And they have pretty nice weather. The coach
Yeah.
said that you're going to have some really warm Christmases
Yes,
coming up.
yes,
I'm sure
yes.
he's not going to mind that a whole lot.
Yeah, I'm actually going in December this
you
year.
really?
So, yeah.
That's great. What do you major in?
Right now, I'm getting my MBA. So,
Are you really?
strategic communication. Yes.
Yeah, were you a communication major?
Yeah, I minored in communication.
Minored in
I was a
communication.
film and media major.
Nice. So Andrew Reed's
Yes, yes.
he your boy?
Yes, I love Andrew Reed.
Yeah, he's a good guy. There's no question about that. He's on sabbatical right now, and I miss seeing him around campus. You know,
Yeah.
he's just somebody I always like to see and talk to. We
Yes.
have a very good relationship there. So I'm always interested to hear what you guys major in and then what are your plans? What do you want to do?
After school, I want to own my own business and take the business route and try to just build a successful brand and go on from there.
Well, I think that one thing that you get at UPIKE that maybe is a little bit underestimated sometimes is a quality education.
Yes, yes.
And you've came in here and obviously taken advantage of that. And look at how diverse. You're getting a degree in FMA.
Yep.
You're getting a degree in communications, and now you're getting that business degree.
Yes.
And that's pretty diverse. Not very
Yes.
many people have that kind of background, so
Yes,
you've got
sir.
a lot going for you. What kind of business are you looking for?
To be honest, I make beats, so I like
Really?
somewhere along the music industry. So.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Anything, like have you put anything out where people hear it on social media or on YouTube or anything like that yet?
Yes, I have a YouTube channel. It's Down on the Beat. It's a YouTube channel. It's a beats channel, type beat channel.
Nice. That's got to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I love listening to music. I love that sort of thing. We may listen to different kinds of music, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
And but if you're doing what you're doing, I'm going to support you. We have a guy, one of our graduates, I had him in class one time, who was from Northern Kentucky, and he's back up there now, and he's doing that.
Okay.
And like he wrote a couple of songs about the Reds, and they play them in the stadium in the
Wow.
games up there.
Yeah,
now.
that's wonderful to hear. Anytime that you make music and get it to be able to be broadcasted to so everybody can hear is a great feeling.
When we get through with you, we're going to talk to Karan Thrower. And I know he plays on the defensive side.
Yes.
You guys go at each other every day,
Yes.
but tell me about him.
Yes, he's a very aggressive defensive back. He likes to come down. He could come down whenever the run is there and stop the run. And then he's also in coverage getting them interceptions. So,
And a lot of times at his position, they might change for
Yeah.
a run play or a pass play,
Yep.
but he's a guy who's out there all the time. Tell me what practice is like with those defensive guys, because I know you guys work on different ends,
Yeah.
but then you come together. And
Yeah. So during practice, it's we're all trying to figure out our schemes coming up to the next game for the next week. So we're all trying to figure out how we can get each other better throughout the week
Now,
and
go
complete
ahead.
the job.
Tell me, when you were in, like, I know right now we don't do a lot of contact in practice.
Yes.
Was it like that in high school for you too, or was it a little more?
In high school, no, it was not actually. We used to go full go every practice, even during playoffs. We would.
And here we don't, and there's reasoning behind that.
Yes.
Right? You're
Prevents injuries.
Yeah, trying to do that. And also, I asked a guy one time. I said, "So I know you can't hit Lee, but what about everybody else?" And he said, "No, you can't hit Lee.
Yeah.
You don't touch him." And that's an interesting concept too, because I know that. Maybe the reason that I asked that was because one of the guys who's been around about as long as Lee has, who plays on the defensive side, said they go at each other every day in practice. They're just jawing with each other.
Yeah.
But no contact, even on the line, right?
Yeah. No. On the line, we can. It's contact.
But not full contact.
Yeah,
like
not full contact to the ground or nothing like that.
right. So it's been that's been an interesting story. So he told me I was going to have a hard time getting you to talk. I just don't think he knows how to talk to you. That might be it right there, right? Hey, Michael, I really appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
I want you to
Thank you
know
for
it's
having
been a
me.
lot of fun, and I certainly wish you the best of luck.
Yes, sir.
And we say you're a junior. You say you're in grad school. So,
Yeah, I'm a grad student.
So do you have another year? Or
On
is
the
it-
field, I'm a junior. Yes.
On the field, you're a junior, so you can come back next year if you,
Yes, sir.
if you choose, and maybe I hope you do, because
sir.
we'd love to have you back, man.
Appreciate it.
That's Michael Lee. We'll be back after this, talk to Karan Thrower, and learn a little bit about what he does on the defensive side. Go from Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville, Kentucky. Come on by and see us. Welcome back to the UPIKE Football Coaches Show. I'm Rick Bentley, and I'm joined by Karan Thrower. We called his number a lot on Saturday afternoons when we're getting those tackles in there. 6'1", 210-pound senior DB. And I'm going to tell you, Karan, I said the same thing to Micah. You don't look like you weigh 210 pounds. You look like you're a lot more fit than that, a lot slimmer than that. You hide it well. Fairfield, California.
Yes, sir.
California is so big. I did a little Google search. So you're from that San Francisco area.
Yes, sir.
Right? And that's where Coach is from.
Yes, sir.
But, you're probably a better player than he was when he played too, so you never know.
Maybe just a little bit.
Yeah. So tell me about Fairfield. What's it like?
It's a small city, about like 25 minutes from the rest of the Bay Area, stuff like that. Close to San Francisco and everything like that.
Southeast from San Francisco, is that right?
North.
North, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I read it wrong. Then, so growing up out there, big fan of the Niners.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a college team that you followed?
When I was younger, maybe Cal a little bit, but my mom went to Sac State, so I like Sac State a little bit.
Good deal. That's excellent. And I don't know that much about Fairfield. Obviously, we know a lot about San Francisco. Were you a Giants fan? I know you were a Niners fan, but were you a baseball fan? Were you a fan of the Warriors? Who were you?
Giants, Warriors, the good teams, the basic teams, best teams out there, you know what I mean?
Well, you were lucky that, as you were growing up there, the Giants won the World Series in 10, 12, and 14.
Yeah.
I saw them in 12 in the playoffs. They beat the Reds, and I was at Game 5 of that series when Buster Posey hit the grand slam. I was sitting down the right field line thinking, you've got to be kidding me.
Yes, sir.
The best catcher in baseball, and we're letting him hit a grand slam.
Definitely.
He's a great player. 13 tackles and 1 interception this season. That may not sound like a whole lot, but at your position, that's getting it done right there. That's
Yes, sir.
great. Tell me about the pick.
The pick, we was in just basically a two-man coverage, and, I seen something going in, and I seen the ball go up, and he didn't catch it, went fine, and I just went and grabbed it.
And who was that against?
Campbellsville,
First game of the season.
Yes, sir.
See, when we first started football here, we had a couple of DBs. who believed that when the ball went up in the air, that quarterback was throwing it to them.
Yes, sir.
And they went and got it.
Yes, sir.
And one of those guys had 8 interceptions by the end of his sophomore year. And then they didn't throw to his side of the field. Nobody did his junior and senior year. He finished his career with 8 tackles or 8 interceptions because nobody threw on his side.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty impressive when you guys get those picks, and I know how excited you get when you get those things. That doesn't happen very often. Last year you had a fumble recovery.
Yes,
too.
sir.
So you're used to having the ball in your hands a little bit. Huh?
Yeah. Gotta have it in my hands.
And you blocked a kick. I got to hear that story. That's really good.
Really, blocking a punt, that went all the way back to JUCO. I missed blocking one in JUCO, and I always said I was going to be able to block one. And that game, I told Coach Harris, I said, I'm going to go get you one. And it opened up, and I just got it.
21 tackles last year, 15 of them solos. And most impressive thing that I've got on your resume, academic all-conference.
Yes, sir.
You got to take pride in what you do in the classroom.
Yes, sir.
What do you do? What do you major in?
Criminal justice sociology.
Yeah, nice. I teach a class on Thursday mornings, ironically enough, before I come down here, and I teach there up on that 4th floor where all those guys, all their offices are.
Yes, sir.
So I'm around those guys quite a bit, and of course I've been on committees with some of those guys. There's really good people who teach. Who are some of your favorite teachers?
Hazelwood for sure.
Yeah.
When I got here, his wife, they took care of me. She made sure I had all my classes and kept me straight, and he stayed on me a little bit, made sure I got all my work done, and ever since then, I probably had the best GPA since I've probably been like a kid since I've been in UPIKE. So.
Nice. Now, just so everybody understands, Justin Hazelwood teaches here. His wife Jessica works with our new students, getting their classes and that sort of thing. And then I know you guys keep those relationships going. I know that you don't always, when you have a question, you probably will go to them instead of going to your advisor. Mine used to do that when I was advising students. So I know those relationships stay, and it's ironic that she was that person for you then, and he's that person for you now.
Yes, sir.
And he's, involved in athletics as well. He's our faculty athletics rep. So Justin Hazelwood is a familiar face around there.
Definitely.
When you go to a game, I know that once the game starts, you guys are locked in. But before a game and during warm-ups and that sort of thing, do you notice when you see your faculty people coming in, you notice who they are and that they're coming to watch you and support you?
For the most part, yeah, I do. I see a couple of familiar faces around there, from Justin to, Paul that works down, with the kitchen and stuff like that, Table 99.
Yeah.
I see a lot of familiar faces and, always the public safety guys down there.
Paul's a great guy, man. We love talking to him. He gets jazzed up about sports, too. So your major, you told me, was criminal justice and sociology,
Yes,
right?
sir.
That's a very common double major for people to get, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, is that what you want to do? What do you want to do when you get out of school?
Typically after school, I want to pursue football as well, but, further down the line, I just want to be able to work with kids and stuff like that and help like be a big brother to, younger kids like that through high school, college and stuff like that, and just be a big brother figure and just help keep people out of trouble.
So tell me, Karan, now I saw this, it's probably been 3 weeks ago, maybe longer, that you guys stopped practice one day and went over to the track where they were getting ready to start a cross-country run up the hill.
Yes, sir.
And you guys went over and just cheered for those guys. That wasn't just a one-time thing, was it? That's what's going on this week.
We just did that last night, too.
Last night, too?
Yes, sir.
I saw it earlier this week.
Yeah.
I saw a post. Some of those kids' mama was talking about what a great group of people you guys are.
Yes, sir.
And I know that when you were that age, you'd love to have had college guys over there cheering you on. And
Definitely.
So it's got to mean a lot to you guys.
Yeah, the kids here, they help us keep a smile on our face, and they really do look up to us, like even during the games, asking for autographs, wanting pictures, even when we do Fist Bump Friday, you see how happy you can make a kid, you know what I mean? So it means a lot. It means a lot to us, means a lot to me as well.
So about Fist Bump Friday, the church I go to, we talk a lot in it about when you go like to the hospital to visit somebody who's sick, and you go in to try to lift them up, and you leave the one that is lifted up.
Yeah.
And I think that you guys get that experience at Fist Bump Friday. You go for them, and they lift you up. You guys get excited about doing those things. Right?
Definitely. And me being so far away from home, it helps me stay grounded and feel like I'm at home as well.
I know that Pikeville's a lot different than the Bay Area, but how do you feel about it? Have you enjoyed your time here?
Yeah, I like it. My parents kind of stay up in Northern California a little bit, farmland and stuff like that. So I'm not too away from home. I'm familiar with it, small town and stuff like that. I like the quiet, helps keep me focused on school and football.
And another thing I noticed about Fairfield was that the average temperature in the summer is in the mid 70s, and the average temperature in the winter is in like the mid 40s. So that's pretty good weather right there. That's not bad at all.
It has its good and its bad. Sometimes I might go up there and touch 103 for a couple of weeks and stuff like that, or and get as cold as 40. So
Yeah.
I didn't really see snow until I got here. So it was my first time really seeing snow when I got to Kentucky.
It's amazing because northern Kentucky, you're starting to get. I mean, if you draw a line across the country, like there are people above that get a lot of snow and weather, and you guys don't do that.
No.
It's really interesting that the difference in the weather out there in that Northern California area. So I've touched on nearly everything I had here to talk to you about. The academic all-conference thing is something I want to bring up again because I'm really proud of you guys for doing that. And that's something I think you guys take a lot of pride in because we led the league last year, I believe, in academic all-conference people. We had about 20 academic all-Americans. That's a lot of people doing well in the classroom. It's something you guys got to take pride in.
Yes, sir, definitely. Just from being in high school, my high school coach always told me, you gotta focus on school. The football part to take care of itself if you focus on school. So getting here, being able to have good teachers around you, it was just easy for me and able to fall in line and just get the job done.
And the amount of time that football takes up is a lot, but you guys still find that time to get in there and study halls and whatever you need, go to your faculty offices and that sort of thing, get that little bit of extra help.
As long as you make a plan, you'll be fine.
Yep. And if you're trying really hard, you're going to make it here. I think that's it. I think that the people who don't make it here are the ones who maybe didn't put as much effort into it, and then later they realize it, I think. But
yes, sir.
Sometimes it's too late. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you can bounce back from that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm sure you've got teammates who have been on both sides of that. Tell me about your junior college you went to out there.
I went to Contra Costa College. It was a up-and-coming JUCO. But when I was growing up, they weren't that good. But, they brought in a new head coach, Coach Otis Everton, and he recruited a lot of us Bay Area guys from the top schools, just coming there, and he recruited guys from the South and all over the country, just coming in there, giving us a real program, We was in JUCO, but it kind of felt like we might have been at like a university already because it was so many different guys from all over the place that had been from different backgrounds,
That's great. What did you think when Coach Phipps showed up and you said, where in the world is Pikeville, Kentucky?
Actually, it was Coach Harris. So when Coach Harris came through, I didn't know where Pikeville, Kentucky was. I never knew nothing really about Kentucky, but he came with an opportunity, and, they ended up offering me my freshman year. I decided to stay back and get my AA degree, and then I had some things happen, not the way I wanted to go, but, I just stayed in with God and talked to God, and they ended up offering me again, and I decided to commit, come with a couple of my guys from back home.
And there are other guys from that area out there that are here playing football, right?
Yes, sir.
And we also do really well recruiting baseball players out of California too.
Yes, sir.
So you may not know those guys, but you know the towns they're from. So
yes,
that's
sir.
gotta help. And you probably spend a lot of time with those guys talking about things like that. Anybody you played against in high school that your teammates with here, you talk a little trash to about?
Brandon Newton, receiver. We played against each other, and we played with each other in Pop Warner as well, stuff like that. So
really?
Me and him played against each other during high school. I think that might be it. Other than that, everybody else we mainly started in JUCO and stuff like that.
Now Brandon is a guy who is, like nobody wanted to see Dre go down.
Yeah.
But he's one of those guys who stepped up and filled that role, so he's taking advantage of the opportunity he's got.
Definitely. Coming in, I'm probably one of the guys that helped him get here, and I just told him, you come in, you work, keep your head down, you do what Coach Phipps say on the offense, and, your time will come. It might not be when you want it to come, but, you stay down, keep your faith, and it's going to come, And
the other thing is, when Lee's throwing it 50 times a game, there's a lot of people getting the opportunity to catch that ball.
Definitely.
And like most games that we play, at the end of the game, there'll be 8 or 9 people with catches.
Yeah.
So there's a good opportunity if you're on that offensive side and you're not a lineman, you're going to catch a ball. You're going to get one thrown your way.
You're going to get one thrown your way. As long as Lee trusts you, he's going to throw that ball your way.
Tell me about when you were in high school and that sort of thing. Did you play on both sides?
Yes, sir.
And what position did you play?
I played with a receiver and tight end, and then I played safety and as well.
Yeah. So as a receiver, did you put up pretty good numbers?
Definitely put up good numbers. Going into JUCO, I was recruited as a receiver, but I didn't want to play receiver no more. I played with a lot of different quarterbacks in high school, so I wanted to play DB. But sometimes I do miss playing receiver, though. But I think I was pretty good, one of the top guys in my area, I feel like.
Well, you probably, especially watching how Lee slings it around, you think, man, I'd like to be out there catching one of those.
Yeah, definitely. I miss it a little bit, even just running a couple of fade balls, just to get out there a little bit.
Well, listen, we got some games coming up that might get a little sideways. You might want to put a bug in Coach's ear. Hey, I like to run around out there for you.
We might put in a little package. Don't want to put it too much out there. We'll see what he let me do.
It's good. Karan, I appreciate you stopping by and talking to us today.
Thank you.
Wish you the best of luck, man, academically and athletically.
Thank you, sir.
And let's get that win on Saturday.
Definitely, we got to. Nothing more than less.
That's cool.
Achieve your dreams at the University of Pikeville.
All right, welcome back here to UPIKE Football Coaches Show. Coach Corey Phipps jumping in here with us again. Micah Lee, Karan Thrower, those are two fun guys right there now.
Yeah.
And pretty good football players.
They are. One leads our secondary, and one's a leader on our offensive line. So, two big groups. I told the DBs a few weeks ago when we had a couple of hiccups. I said, guys, hey, there's three guys exposed on the sideline. It's the secondary, the quarterback, and the head coach. So all of our decisions and all of our missteps are pretty obvious.
I wanted to ask you about something that we didn't get into earlier. I saw it's been, and we talked about it earlier, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, about what goes on at practice when they have track meets going on up there. And when the little kids are getting out there running, you guys were stopping and going over, and that's still going on. I saw a post this week about some mother going on about how much she appreciated the UPIKE football team for how special they made their kids feel.
Yeah, it's one of those deals that I think, it's interesting. We practice essentially in the middle of the city park, Bob Amos Turf Field, and track. And, Bob Amos Park is kind of the epicenter for all things recreation and sport, from little kid sport to college sport in the city limits. So, we just stop what we're doing. I pause the clock. They don't get any time off from practice. We just pause the period clock, and we get over there and cheer them on as they take off.
I saw a guy yesterday in some of those pictures with those kids, and I was like, it was number 93. And
Amante.
I don't know if he wears that same number in the game or what, so I looked on there to see. But, man, that mother was thrilled to death with what you guys are doing, and that says a lot about what we're doing. There's more to it than football.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a board meeting this week here on campus. Our board comes to campus, listens to our president and folks talk, and like myself, I've got to do a board report for athletics. And the president went around the executive staff room and said, if you had one thing you'd want the board to know, and I said, I would want them to know that there's 650 student athletes making an impact in the mountains right here, and they're from every corner of the globe.
And about 3,000 hours of community service already.
Yeah, already. So I think we'll pretty easily get to our 15,000 hour mark. So
I asked somebody, because I teach Sunday school and I teach. And I teach on other meetings that we get, and I'm the treasurer of the church. Can I put down those as volunteer hours? And they said that they didn't think that that fit with the volunteering.
I did have a young lady on our cross country team say, "Hey, coach, could I clean my church on Sundays. Could I count that?" I said, "They pay you for it?" And she said, "No." I said, "Well, then count it."
Yeah, that's volunteering.
If it's volunteer, sure.
That's the way I look at it. And we do such a good job of that. And you started it really with Fist Bump Friday, and I think that some of the other coaches on campus have gotten involved in Fist Bump Friday, and it's not like you're territorial about it. You're more the merrier. Let's go.
No. There's plenty of people to help and impact in the world, and so it's pretty amazing when you look at it and what we do as an athletic department, and not just a football program. I had a baseball kid catch me in the elevator going to the cafeteria one day. He said, "Coach, I think the best thing I've heard you say is just talking about serving other people and getting out in this community service. He said, I played summer ball in Canada, and we were really active in the community with community service, and it brought something to my life that I didn't know I needed.
And I think that's something that when I ask kids about that, we talk about, and I talked when I was talking to Micah earlier about how at my church we talk about, you go visit somebody in the hospital and you're trying to lift them up and you leave and you're the one lifted up. And I think that's what happens on Fist Bump Friday. They go to get those kids jazzed up and they leave the ones that are pumped.
Yeah, our Creator knew what he was doing programming us like he did.
I think so too. It's been really good. So one more time, Saturday's football game, and we are going to come away with that much money out of the game.
Yes, 0, 0, 0. So we're going to give every single dime to a reputable hurricane relief charity, and we've got a couple in mind, but I think we know what we're going to do with it and help some folks out there that need a helping hand. And one day we will all need that helping hand. And I'm reading a book right now. The gift of struggle, and sometimes the gift of struggle is really just kind of figuring out the tough things in life that make you tougher and test your mettle. And I think there's a lot of people struggling out there right now. I think our guys see it. I think it's a gift to them to understand that they're tough enough to navigate certain things in life. And so we talk a lot about that right now. And in the opening chapter of the book, he just talked about a high school coach, him and his brother, Hispanic family, mom and dad sent them with some food, and while they were working, and the coach came and said, "Listen, you're not getting to eat with the rest of the team. I want to buy you lunch, but I don't want anybody to know. And the only thing I ever want you to do is extend that to somebody else at some point in your life."
Pay it forward.
Well, paying it forward is what we want to teach these guys to be servant leaders.
Absolutely.
And in a lot of different ways we do that. And I'm going to tell you, like the joy they bring us, you, Rick, myself, people throughout the campus community, throughout the mountains, these kids are a gift to us in a lot of ways, other than just being able to run a 40-yard dash and catch a football and sack the quarterback.
I've always said if all you're teaching them is football skills, you are failing them, and that's certainly not happening here.
Absolutely.
We've had that, not in football, but we've had people like that on campus before, and that's just not who we are anymore.
And there's moments that we all do that as coaches. We get into, the win-win-win now thing. And, I think even if you listened to this last week, Kirby Smart and defeat against the University of Alabama, what he talked about his guys in the post game was not you fell short, but you pushed it to the max and you were one play short. So, for us, we've been one play short in 3 opportunities. Yeah. And now it's time to get on the other side of that and figure out how to win a tight ball game.
And I know you have a lot of respect for what they do down at Reinhardt. And if you're involved in NAIA football, you have respect for what Reinhardt does. Yeah. We see it up close once a year, and you certainly have that relationship with their head coach. And so, we're impressed with what they're doing down there. And we're excited about it and how they represent our league. But that doesn't mean we don't want to win on Saturday.
Yeah, and there was a double overtime loss last year with some home cooking there, maybe. I don't know, possibly. And we're hoping to get a little home cooking here. The chili always tastes better at home.
Yes, it does. And talked to Micah Lee about what it was like to protect Lee back there because, and then, by the way, Karan might talk to you. He apparently was a pretty good receiver.
Yeah, he's lobbied for that. He's lobbied for that.
He said, I watch him throw that around. I think I'd like to be out there and do that. I said, well, we talked to Coach. We probably got a couple games coming up that might happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
He said he was a pretty nice receiver.
He's a dynamite athlete all over.
Yeah, you can just tell it. And, when you see a guy, like a lot of times you hear him say, well, if you're playing on defense, it's because you couldn't catch it. That's why, they put you on the defensive side. But he can do that too.
He's kind of athlete a lot of places. Would have been a dynamite center fielder in baseball. Would have been a great point guard. Plays in the secondary for us. He's just the overall athlete.
Really good. And again, every week I'm just blown away by what kind of people we bring to this campus. Forget about football players. What kind of people we have on this campus and impacting our community here like they are.
Absolutely.
We're doing the right things here. I think there's no question about it. All right. So anything else you want to get into about Saturday?
Just come out and cheer us on. It's homecoming weekend. Should be a beautiful day. We'd love you to come contribute to the cause of helping hurricane relief and watch a good ball game and eat a few hot dogs, maybe buy a few T-shirts.
Are we going to put up a tent or a table or something where people can donate?
Yes, that'll be out on social media as well, that there'll be a tent there if you want to donate any cleaning supplies or any fresh water or anything. We'll have a list of things out on social media today that we would like to, accrued to take to some sort of donation drop-off spot.
And a lot of those places down there are hard to get to right now, but we'll figure out a way. We'll make it happen and make sure that everything you bring goes to help those people in need. Coach, again, we do a lot of things here, and we try to win every game we play, but these are the things that are important right here. This is the impact that we need on our community, and now we need to impact other communities just as they have us. And I appreciate you leading that effort.
Thank you. I appreciate it and appreciate the guys jumping in.
Yep, they're going to help out a lot. So that's going to wrap things up here. So for Coach Corey Phipps, I'm Rick Bentley. For Karan Thrower and Micah Lee, two more fun guys here. For all our friends here at Pike TV and for my buddy Wyatt over there who helped set things up as well, I'm Rick Bentley. You've been watching the UPIKE Football Coaches Show. We'll be back here next Thursday at noon right here at Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville. Come on by and see us.